I want you to picture two people. Same city, same year, same age, both 34. The first one, let's call him Marcus, lives in a two-bedroom apartment in a mid-sized American city. He drives a 2017 Honda Accord with 80,000 miles on it. He packs lunch most days, usually something simple, leftovers from Sunday. On Friday nights, he might order pizza and watch a movie at home. His Instagram is quiet. He doesn't post about vacations because he hasn't taken a big one in 2 years. His friends sometimes joke that he's boring. His closet is not impressive. His car is not impressive. On the surface, Marcus looks like someone who is just getting by. Now picture the second person. Let's call her Brianna. She lives in a newer apartment. Granite countertops, the kind with a rooftop pool she uses maybe 4 times a year. She drives a leased BMW, black, always clean. Her wardrobe is updated every season. Her Instagram tells a different story. Rooftop bars, concerts, a beach trip in the spring, a ski weekend in January. She looks by every external measure like someone who is doing extremely well. Her friends assume she's crushing it. People at work assume she earns more than she does. Now here is where the story gets interesting. Marcus has $47,000 sitting in a Roth IRA. He contributes the maximum every year, $7,000, automatically transferred on the first of every month. He has no credit card debt. His emergency fund covers 6 months of expenses, sitting in a high-yield savings account generating around 4.5% annually. He owns a small index fund portfolio he hasn't touched in 4 years. He doesn't feel rich. He genuinely does not believe he is building wealth. When his friends talk about their financial goals, he goes quiet, a little embarrassed. Brianna has $1,200 in her savings account. Her credit cards carry a combined balance of $9,400. The BMW lease costs her $580 a month. Her retirement account was opened 2 years ago and has $2,300 in it. She feels abundant. She feels like she is living her best life. She also feels, if she is being honest with herself at midnight, a constant low-level financial anxiety she can't quite name. This isn't a story about income. Marcus and Brianna earn within $8,000 of each other annually. This is a story about something far more invisible. So today, we are going to talk about 10 signs that you are actually building wealth right now, even if you have absolutely no idea that you are. Let me start with a concept that will reframe how you think about wealth for the rest of your life. Wealth is not a number. It is not a salary. It is not a car or a zip code or a number of followers or a wardrobe or a restaurant you go to. Wealth, real, functional, life-changing wealth, is the gap between what you earn and what you spend, multiplied by time. That is the entire formula. The single most predictive variable of long-term financial security is not income. It is the savings rate. Not how much you make, how much you keep. Someone earning $200,000 and spending $198,000 is in a materially worse financial position than someone earning $65,000 and spending $48,000. Over 30 years, the gap between these two people becomes staggering, potentially millions of dollars in net worth difference, driven not by talent, not by luck, not by income, by the gap. Wealth is almost always invisible at first. It is consumption you chose not to have today so that future you has options tomorrow. The early stages of wealth building look from the outside like nothing at all. You don't see it, other people don't see it. You might not even feel it. So, the 10 signs. The first sign is that you consistently spend less than you earn, and you don't think of it as sacrifice. Most people think frugality is misery. They think spending less means deprivation, going without, feeling restricted, counting pennies, and feeling quietly resentful. But here's what actually happens when wealth building becomes a real habit. The spending restraint stops feeling like a cost. It starts feeling like a default. They've decoupled their sense of self from their level of spending. The car doesn't define them. The apartment doesn't define them. The thing they are building, slowly, invisibly, does. If you find yourself packing lunch, not because you have to, but because you'd rather spend that $15 on something meaningful, you are making the decision proactively, not reactively. That gap, $15 a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, is $3,750 annually. Invested at 8% over 25 years, that one habit compounds to roughly $290,000. Not because you're a genius, not because you found a secret, because you made a boring, invisible choice over and over and let time do the heavy lifting. If spending less feels natural to you rather than painful, that is the first sign. You are already on the other side of the hardest part. The second sign is that you have money sitting in accounts you don't touch. Studies consistently show that somewhere between 55% and 60% of Americans could not cover a $1,000 emergency expense from savings alone without borrowing. $1,000. If you have an emergency fund, even a modest one, even 2 or 3 months of expenses, you're ahead of more than half the country. That is not an exaggeration. That is the data. The real signal is not just that you have savings, it's that you have savings you consistently resist the urge to touch. A $10,000 emergency fund at 4.5% yield generates roughly $450 per year in interest without you doing anything whatsoever. A person who can maintain $10,000 untouched is a person who can maintain $50,000 untouched. And $50,000 untouched in a retirement account for 20 years at 8% becomes roughly $233,000. The compounding is not exactly the point. The behavior is the point. The compounding is just the reward for the behavior, delivered quietly over time. If you have money somewhere that you regularly resist the temptation to spend, if you have looked at the balance and felt the pull and left it alone anyway, you are building wealth. The third sign is that your net worth is moving in the right direction, even slowly. Most people look at their checking account balance, but the number that actually tells you the truth about your financial trajectory is your net worth. Everything you own minus everything you owe. Every mortgage payment you make, the principal portion increases your ownership stake in the property. Every month you don't add to a credit card balance is a month your liabilities stay flat or decrease. If your net worth is higher at the end of this year than it was at the beginning, even by $2,000, even by $800, the trajectory is correct. Trajectories compound. A net worth growing by $5,000 a year at 26 becomes the foundation for a net worth growing by $30,000 a year at 42. Direction matters more than speed, especially early. The fourth sign is that you are automatically investing, even a small amount, every single month. I am not done yet. The industry rule of thumb, backed by decades of behavioral economics research, is that automatic investing dramatically outperforms manual investing, not because of the returns, because of the behavior. When investing is automatic, you don't look at the market on a red day in October and feel scared and skip a month. The money is already gone before you have the psychological chance to spend it. Even $50 a month matters more than most people realize. $50 per month, starting at age 25, running to 65, at an average 8% annual return, grows to approximately $174,000. You personally contributed $24,000 of your own money over those 40 years. The remaining $150,000 came from compound returns. You didn't earn it through effort or skill. It grew. Scale that up. $200 per month over 40 years at 8% becomes approximately $698,000. $500 per month becomes close to $1.75 million. These are not marketing promises. They are the straightforward mathematical output of a boring, automatic habit repeated over time without interruption. If you have any form of automated investing, a 401k that processes before your paycheck, a monthly Roth IRA transfer, even a Roundup app, you are building wealth. The amount matters far less than the habit. The fifth sign is that you are not adding new consumer debt. The moment they stop making the debt pile bigger, it doesn't feel like an achievement. There is no notification, no milestone. The average credit card APR in the United States has been hovering around 20% to 22%. That means every $1,000 you carry costs you approximately $200 per year in interest for doing nothing. If you have $5,000 in credit card debt at 21% APR and you're making minimum payments of around $100 a month, the amortization math is genuinely grim. Contrast that with the person who carries no revolving credit card balance. Every dollar they earn is entirely theirs. They are not renting their own money back from a bank at 21%. Paying off and not reaccumulating a 21% APR balance is equivalent to earning 21% on that money. No conventional investment vehicle reliably delivers 21%. If your credit card balance is the same as or lower than it was 6 months ago, if you are not actively digging the hole deeper, you have turned a corner that takes many people years to find. The sixth sign is that you understand the difference between assets and liabilities in your own daily life, and you are increasingly choosing assets. An asset puts money in your pocket over time. A liability takes money out. A brand new car purchased with a loan is a liability by almost every definition. It loses roughly 15% to 20% of its value in the first year alone, and it continues depreciating every year you drive it while you continue paying for it. A used car purchased in cash converts that liability into something far more neutral, transportation that serves you without ongoing financial drag. A vacation you charge to a credit card and pay off over 7 months with interest is a liability. You are paying extra money for an experience that has already concluded. Your choices are slowly but consistently tilting toward assets. None of these decisions feel dramatic in the moment. Together, compounded over a decade, they produce an entirely different financial life. If you have ever made a deliberate decision toward an asset over a liability, even once, that is the beginning of the sixth sign. The seventh sign is that you have insurance coverage that goes beyond the bare legal minimum. You cannot build what you cannot protect. Insurance is not a wealth-building mechanism. It is a wealth preservation mechanism. Medical debt is the leading cause of personal bankruptcy in the United States. Not credit card debt, not student loans, medical emergencies. The average cost of a 3-day hospital stay in the U.S. is approximately $30,000. A single event, months of work, gone. About 1 in 4 20-year-olds will experience a disability before reaching retirement age that prevents them from working for 90 days or more. If your income stops and you have no disability coverage, wealth building doesn't pause, it reverses. Your savings begin being consumed instead of built. Renter's insurance typically costs $15 to $25 per month and covers theft, fire damage, and personal liability. If you have health insurance, renters, or homeowners coverage, and have even considered disability insurance, you are protecting the machine you are building. The eighth sign is that your social spending is intentional, not reactive. The round at the bar because it is your turn and the whole table is watching. The birthday dinner where you end up paying $90 for a salad and 2 glasses of wine. Peer-influenced spending does not feel like financial pressure. It feels like friendship. It feels like participation. But the bill is real, regardless of how normal it felt when you signed it. Intentional social spending means you decided in advance what you were willing to spend. You enjoy social experiences fully and genuinely. And the next morning, you don't open your banking app with that familiar low-grade dread. Consumer spending research suggests the average American spends between $3,000 and $5,000 per year on social and entertainment spending that was entirely unplanned at the moment of purchase. Even redirecting one-third of that toward retirement or savings, at 8% over 20 years, an additional $1,500 per year compounds to approximately $74,000. If you have ever said no to something you couldn't genuinely afford and felt clear and steady about that decision rather than ashamed, that is the 8th sign. The 9th sign is that you think in years and decades, not just in weeks and months. Most people make financial decisions with an implicit time horizon of about 30 days. Can I cover rent? Can I make the minimum payment? Can I afford this weekend? The person thinking in decades asks, what is the total cost of ownership for this vehicle over 8 years, including interest, insurance, registration, and depreciation? Researchers have found that people who regularly imagine the person they will be in 20 or 30 years make measurably better financial decisions in the present. The next time you are considering a major financial decision, spend 60 seconds genuinely imagining yourself at 60, not as a guilt exercise, as a clarity exercise. If you already think this way, even occasionally, even imperfectly, that is the 9th sign. You are already playing the long game. The 10th sign is that you are regularly learning about money, and what you learn actually changes something you do. What is genuinely scarce is the person who receives that information and then does something specific within the next 48 hours. The person who opens a Roth IRA the same week they learn about contribution limits is in a different category than the person who adds it to the mental list of things they mean to do eventually. The average 401k contribution rate sits around 7% of salary. People who engage regularly with financial education increase their contribution rates by 1 to 3 percentage points over time. A 1 percentage point increase on a $70,000 salary is $700 per year. Over 30 years at 8% return, that 1 percentage point compounded is approximately $86,000. Not from working harder, not from a salary increase, from knowing something and then acting on it within a reasonable amount of time. If you learn something about money and then change even one small thing, even imperfectly, even slowly, that is the 10th sign. You are not just consuming, you are building. Now, let's talk about what you actually do with all of this, because everything we just covered is completely worthless if it stays in your head. This week, do one thing. Just one. Pull up your accounts, checking, savings, retirement, debt balances, and calculate your approximate net worth. Write it down, date it. That number right now is your baseline. You cannot measure meaningful progress without a starting point. If it is lower than you expected, good, now you know. If it is higher than you expected, even better. You have evidence something is working. This month, identify the one habit that is currently missing and would have the highest impact on your situation. For most people, that habit is automated investing. Setting up a $50 or $100 monthly transfer into a Roth IRA or a broad market index fund and leaving it alone. For people carrying high-interest consumer debt, the highest impact habit this month might be a 60-day hard commitment to not adding any new balance to existing credit cards. One habit this month. Not a complete financial renovation, not 10 simultaneous changes. One thing, done with consistency. This quarter, do a full and honest spending review. Pull 3 months of bank and credit card statements and look at everything. Subscriptions, insurance, dining, social spending. People who do this exercise almost universally discover between $200 and $500 per month in spending that does not reflect their actual values or priorities. Redirect half towards savings or debt reduction. Keep the other half and spend it deliberately on something that genuinely matters to you. Alignment, not deprivation. This video is for educational purposes, not financial advice. For decisions specific to your situation, please speak with a qualified financial professional who knows your complete picture. Now, back to Marcus and Brianna. The difference between them was not talent, not income, not fortunate circumstances, not some privileged starting point or secret knowledge. Marcus made a series of quiet decisions, starting in his mid-20s, that felt completely unremarkable at the time. He set up the 401k when HR sent the enrollment email. He kept his car because it ran fine and the payment was gone. He transferred a fixed amount to savings on the same day every payday and stopped checking the balance obsessively. He read something about index funds online one afternoon and opened an account that week. None of it felt like a significant moment. All of it compounded. Brianna is not a failure. She is not even making uniquely bad decisions. She is making the decisions that the entire consumer economy is structurally designed to encourage. She is living inside a cycle where visible consumption produces a temporary feeling of success, which briefly quiets the anxiety, which is followed by more anxiety when the statements arrive, which is soothed by more consumption. The cycle feels normal because for most people in their early 30s, it is normal. It is the water they swim in. Normal, in this context, has an enormous long-term cost. Marcus is in the other cycle. Invest consistently, leave it alone, build a cushion that reduces chronic financial fear, make fewer reactive decisions, repeat without drama. Both cycles are nearly invisible from the inside. The virtuous cycle does not feel like winning. The destructive cycle does not feel like losing. The difference only becomes visible much later, at 50, at 55, when one person is looking at genuine, meaningful options, and another is calculating how many more years they are required to keep working. Here is what I want you to actually carry away from this. You are probably further along than you feel. If even a few of these 10 signs applied to your life, even 3, even 2, you are already inside the virtuous cycle. You are already building something, even if it doesn't feel like anything yet. The early stages of real wealth are invisible by design. That is not a bug in the system. That is the system working exactly as it is supposed to. The choice in front of you right now is between continuing to build, imperfectly, inconsistently, slowly, starting today, or waiting for the moment when everything feels ready enough to begin. That moment is not coming. It has never come for anyone. Wealth does not wait for the moment you feel ready. It rewards the moment you begin, and it is extraordinarily, patiently generous with the people who start early, even badly, even with $50 a month and a vague, half-formed plan. The choice is simply whether you want to be the person who started or the person who was always about to. You have already started. Keep going.